Imagine this. A killer walks free among us, right now, in 2025. Their footsteps echo in the dark, their secrets buried in plain sight, mocking us with every breath they take. 5 cases, 5 mysteries, no answers. Today, we're plunging headfirst into the chilling abyss of crimes so baffling, so twisted, they've left the world's sharpest minds grasping at shadows. One of these could be unfolding in your own backyard, a silent threat brushing past you in the grocery aisle or staring back through a rain-streaked window. Are you ready to uncover the truth, or the gaping void where it should be? Stick around, because what you're about to hear might just claw its way into your dreams tonight. Picture a world where justice is a fraying thread, where every answer births 10 more questions, where the line between hunter and hunted blurs into nothing. These aren't fairy tales or campfire yarns. They're real, they're raw, they're bleeding out in front of us, and they're still unsolved. We're not just peeling back the curtain, we're tearing it down, piece by jagged piece. Let's go. Welcome to Crime Mysteries Uncovered, the place where the shadows scream and the unsolved claw their way into the light. I'm your guide, your torchbearer through the labyrinth of true crime, and if you're the kind who thrives on mysteries that refuse to bend, that sink their teeth into your mind and won't let go, hit that subscribe button and join our legion of mystery hunters. We're a tribe of relentless seekers, piecing together the puzzles that time forgot, the ones that pulse with a life of their own. Today, we're sinking our teeth into 5 unsolved cases that define 2025, a year where science can map your DNA in an afternoon, yet killers still slip through the cracks like smoke through your fingers. We're talking vanishings that defy logic, bloodbaths that mock forensics, and shadows that stretch across decades. These stories aren't for the timid, they're for the ones who stare into the dark and demand answers. So buckle up, because we're about to wade through the muck of human nature, and it's going to get messy. First, we're stepping into a sun-drenched paradise turned purgatory, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, a postcard of turquoise waves and swaying palms, where the air smells like salt and freedom. That's where Konanki was, a 20-year-old with a single name, like a rapper or a riddle. Spring Break, 2025, Rio Republica Resort, a sprawling maze of pools and pulsing music. He was a college kid, all grins and sunburn, chasing the high of youth with his buddies. Last anyone saw, he was stumbling down a hallway, caught on a flickering camera, his silhouette swaying like he'd had one too many rum punches. Then, nothing. No splash, no scream, no trail. Just a void where a kid used to be. Morning came, and his bed was empty, sheets cold, his flip-flops abandoned by the pool like a taunt. His phone, dead. His friends, clueless, piecing together a night blurred by booze and bass lines. The resort staff shrugged. Kids wander off, right. Happens all the time. Except Konanki didn't wander back. Days bled into weeks, and now his family's a wreck, clinging to flyers plastered on every palm tree from Punta Cana to Santo Domingo. The ocean's the easy culprit. Those currents are hungry, swallowing swimmers whole before they can yell. But the locals mutter something else, a figure spotted near the dunes, too still to be a tourist, too quiet to be lost. Police dragged nets through the surf, divers braved the reefs, zilch. Konanki's last Instagram post stares back at us, a selfie, drink in hand, captioned, "Paradise Forever." Ironic, right? His mom flew down, her voice cracking on every news mic, begging for a crumb of hope. Theories pile up like driftwood. Did he stagger into the waves and drown? Did a predator clock him as easy prey, a kid too drunk to fight? Or, darker still, did the resort bury it, scared of the headlines? Human trafficking's a whisper here, a shadow trade that thrives in tourist traps. Maybe he crossed someone in a bar, a debt unpaid, a look misread. His buddies swear he was fine, laughing, flirting, alive, until he wasn't. The camera's their only witness, and it's mute past that hallway. In 2025, with satellites that can read your license plate from space, how does a kid vanish like this? Was it a fluke, a tragedy of timing, or a hand reaching out of the night. His parents still wait, eyes hollow, for a knock that never comes. What's your gut saying? Accident, abduction, or something we can't even name? Now, we're crossing the Atlantic to a blood-soaked corner of England. West Midlands, a gritty sprawl of brick and bustle, where life hums until it screeches to a halt. Picture a flat, small, suffocating, the kind of place you'd pass without a second glance. Inside, a man, unnamed, stabbed so many times his body looked like a pincushion. Over a dozen wounds, each one a howl of rage. He was found under a mattress, blood seeping through like a grotesque sponge, the room a gallery of violence. Trails of red snaked out the door, down the hall, into the street, like the killer was daring someone to follow. A camera caught a glimpse, a slim figure, hooded, dissolving into the night. No face, no voice, just a wisp of a man who left a corpse in his wake. Jo Ward's the one chasing this ghost, a crime scene coordinator with 27 years and 50 solved murders under her belt. She's a bulldog, a woman who thrives on cracking the uncrackable, but this case, it's her nemesis. She stood in that flat, boots sticky with blood, and said, "This isn't random. This is personal." DNA's there, scraps under the victim's nails, a smear on the blade, but it's a dead end, no match in any database from London to Lisbon. The suspect's a cipher. Black male, slim, 5 feet 2 inches to 5 feet 5 inches. That's it, a sketch so vague it could be half the city. The victim, a shadow himself. Rumors say he dabbled in drugs, owed money, crossed the wrong crew. Was this payback, a deal gone bloody? Jo traced the blood 2 blocks before it vanished. Rainer or Mopper raised it, she can't tell. The BBC threw this on forensics, the real CSI, and Jo's voice trembled as she laid it bare. 27 years, and this is the one that keeps her up. The knife was a cheap thing, a 10-pound blade from any shop, but the fury behind it. That's the signature. Neighbors heard nothing. No shouts, no scuffle, just the hum of a TV through thin walls. Next morning, a delivery guy found the door ajar, the stench hitting him like a fist. In 2025, with cameras on every corner and DNA tech that can ID your cousin's dog, how does this guy melt away? Jo's got sketches plastered everywhere, a hooded figure staring back like a dare. Was he a pro, trained to vanish? A junkie with dumb luck? The victim's sister swears he was turning his life around. New job, new girl, new hope. Did that hope get him killed? The flat's empty now, scrubbed clean, but the echoes linger, and Jo's still out there, chasing a phantom she can feel but can't touch. What's your take? Revenge, a hit, or a killer too smart for his own good? Hey, mystery hunters. Feeling the weight yet? These cases are piling up like storm clouds, heavy and electric. Konanki's gone without a whisper, the West Midlands bleeds with no answers. We're 2 in, and the darkness is just warming up. Which one's sinking its hooks into you? Tell me below, because we're not stopping. 3 more are coming, and they're about to drag us deeper into the abyss. Let's rewind now, way back to a nightmare carved into history. Houston, Texas, 1979, a city riding high on oil and ambition, until the blood started pooling. 5 young souls, ripped from the world in a spree that turned a summer into a slaughter. Some of them, decapitated, heads gone, never found, just bodies, discarded in ditches, backyards, under bridges like forgotten toys. The Houston Decapitation Murders hit like a sledgehammer. First, a teenage girl, 16, walking home from her diner shift. A jogger found her torso, pale and still, the neck a jagged mess. Then a boy, 18, dumped near a creek, same brutal cut. 3 more followed, each one a fresh wound on a city that couldn't breathe. The killer, or killers, moved like a plague, no prints, no witnesses, just a trail of red and silence. Cops chased ghosts, a drifter with a knife fetish, a butcher who hummed while he worked, even whispers of a cult with rituals too vile to say aloud. Leads fizzled, suspects walked, and the case sank into the archives, a cold, dusty tomb. But 2025's cracking it open again. Detective Rodriguez, a grizzled bear of a man with ink-black coffee and a vendetta, hauled the files out of storage. DNA techs a marvel now. Traces from 79 flecks of skin and hair run through machines that spit out miracles. Still, no matches. The heads, maybe torched in a barrel, maybe stashed in a killer's attic, maybe sunk in the gulf where the shrimp won't touch them. Rodriguez is obsessed. He's got maps pinned with red string, timelines that loop like nightmares. He thinks it's one guy, patient, precise, a hunter who knew Houston's arteries. But the why, that's the splinter in his brain. Serial killers have rhythms. Sex, power, chaos. This feels random, unhinged, a storm with no eye. The girl's mom still lives, 80 now, lighting candles by a faded photo. The boy's brother became a cop, swearing he'd find the bastard. 46 years, and the scars are still raw. Was it a loner who took his secrets to the grave? A pair, one swinging the blade, the other watching. Houston's grown over the pain. High rises where bodies once lay, but those 5. They're trapped in 1979, begging for a name. Rodriguez dreams of a break, a cold hit on a genealogy site, a tip from a dying con. In 2025, with tools our grandparents couldn't imagine, how's this still a void? Was the killer a local, blending in at barbecues and church? Did he flee, start over, laugh at the chaos he left? The families wait, the city forgets, but those missing heads, they're out there, whispering. What's your bet? Dust forever, or a truth ready to surface? Now, a case you know, but it's still twisting in the wind. Idaho, 2022, University of Idaho, a college town buzzing with youth and promise. 4 kids, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, living in a creaky off-campus house, the kind with beer cans on the porch and laughter in the walls. Then, a knife shredded it all. Stabbed in their beds, no warning, no mercy, just blood soaking through mattresses, dripping to the floor below. Bryan Kohberger's the name pinned to it, nabbed in Pennsylvania weeks later, a criminology grad with a quiet voice and eyes that don't blink. But 2025, it's a tangle, a legal snarl that's got everyone on edge. The trial's a battlefield, his team's clawing at every thread, saying he's a scapegoat. A witness saw a figure that night, tall, bushy eyebrows, bolting from the scene. Kohberger's a match, but his lawyers call her a liar, say her story's mush after hours of cop pressure. The judge just cracked open sealed filings, and the web's on fire. Some scream conspiracy, others tally the evidence like a scorecard. The crime scene was carnage. Blood painted the walls, a knife sheath left behind with his DNA like a calling card. But the holes gape wide. No screams in a house full of kids. No tracks in the snow outside. How'd he vanish in a town where everyone knows your name? Kaylee's mom sits in court, clutching a locket, her face a mask of grief. Ethan's dad stares at Kohberger, fists clenched, like he's holding back a roar. Prosecutors paint a predator, stalking them for weeks, mapping their lives, savoring the kill in his mind. Defense fires back. The DNA's contaminated, the timeline's a guess, the cops rushed to pin it. The surviving roommates heard bumps that night, thought it was a party winding down, until it wasn't. In 2025, this case is a live wire, justice teetering, doubt creeping. Was Kohberger a lone wolf, fueled by some dark thesis? Is the real killer out there, watching the circus? The families beg for an end, but the gavel's silent. You've seen the news. What's your verdict? Last, a beast of a case that's been feeding on lives for years. Long Island, New York, Gilgo Beach, where the sand stretches lonely and the wind carries ghosts. Bodies started turning up over a decade ago. Women, mostly, wrapped in burlap, tossed like garbage among the dunes. The Long Island serial killer's a specter, a name that's chilled spines since the 2000s. Rex Heuermann's in the cage now, nabbed in 2023, a hulking architect with a double life, charged with some of the murders. But 2025, it's a fractured puzzle, not all the bodies fit his shadow. 10 victims, maybe more, and the timeline splinters. He's a family man, they say, wife, kids, a mortgage, but his basement held secrets, hair strands, fibers, a sick little stash. Cops swear he's their monster, but the math's off, some killings predate him, others don't match his style. Netflix has got a docuseries brewing, promising new dirt, new faces. Divers fished a shoe from the marsh last month, worn, women's size 7, but it's another brick wall. The victims were edge dwellers, sex workers, runaways, lives the world shrugs at, perfect for a hunter who knew the tides. Was Heuermann a copycat, riding someone else's wave? Did he have a partner, a shadow pulling strings? Locals spin tales, a cop who knew the backroads, a fisherman with blood on his nets. The feds swarm, but the beach keeps its secrets, swallowing clues with every wave. In 2025, this isn't solved, it's a hydra, sprouting questions faster than we can cut 'em down. Who's behind the rest? A lone wolf, a network, or a killer still prowling, eyes on the next mark. The sand's a graveyard, and the truth's buried deep. There it is, 5 true crime cases still unsolved in 2025, each one a jagged shard of a nightmare. Konanki's Paradise Lost, the West Midlands Sorter, Houston's Headless Ghosts, Idaho's Courtroom Chaos, Long Island's Endless Graves. They're not just stories, they're wounds, festering, alive. They pull at us, daring us to dig, to guess, to feel the chill of what's still out there. What's your take? Who's guilty? Who's gone forever? Drop your thoughts below. I'm reading every word, feeding off your instincts. If these hit you hard, smash that like, hit subscribe, ring the bell. We're unraveling more every week on Crime Mysteries Uncovered. These aren't cold cases. They're burning, waiting for someone, maybe you, to light the fuse. Keep your eyes wide, because the truth, it's out there, breathing, watching. Catch you next time, Mystery Hunters.